So I am from New Jersey. Thanks for the warm welcome. Don't hold New Jersey against me, though. From New Jersey. Everyone thinks New Jersey is like either the Jersey Shore or Jersey Housewives. Nothing like that. I am a country boy at heart, and I can say y'all like the best of them. Out where I live, I'll share with you how I feel right now. I live in the wildlife parts of New Jersey with deer and bear. Y'all have bear down here? Yeah, little bear? Do you know what happens when you get between a mama bear and their cubs? Not good, right? That's how I feel right now between real estate agents and happy hour and cocktails right now. So I'm just letting you know how for real this feels right now. All right. So everything I do has to talk about ways to make money, right? So grateful to have a long real estate career. And I heard someone outside kind of complaining on a phone earlier today about interest rates going above 5% today. Like, holy cow, right? But then it brought me back to 1988, 89 when I started. And it went from 12.5% selling homes of interest rates to 10, and we partied like, woohoo, what a discount. Imagine going from 12.5% to 10% and thinking that's a deal. Who's with me in those days, right? So let's not get hung up on 5%, 4.5%. People are gonna sell homes, and people are gonna buy homes in any market. We have to learn how do we adapt to it, and how do we make money in a shifting market, because it's always gonna shift, and change will always happen, with or without us. So we gotta move faster than everyone else. So today I wanna share with you some of the challenges. When I'm coaching teams and coaching agents and top producers, a lot of the strategies that come out are very simple, and yet we're taking old school technologies and systems and marrying them to new school ideas. So I wanna share them with you today, of which I think you're gonna get a lot of really good nuggets to go do. Like I want actionable, tactical things to go do today, especially since you're hanging until the very end. So if I had to ask you this question honestly, is most of your business right now finding new business? Most of your time finding new business, are you proactive or reactive? And be honest. Who said proactive? Give me a few proactives. Good. Most of the time, rest of us, reactive, right? And I'm not saying it's because we're lazy or we don't know what to do. It's because it's the uncomfortable work. It's the hard work. I just got done at a conference out in Vegas, and I had a top producer come to me. She's like, Jeff, I'm 22 years in the business, and I'm really shocked that I have to kind of go back to prospecting like I never thought I'd have to go back and do again. And I said to her, I looked at her, I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, I got to be blunt. What made you think you had to stop? Like, what made you stop thinking? Because all of our business came from referrals, which is great when you build that book of business. But guess what? The referrals, as they come in, you can't predict them. You earn them, but you can't predict them. The proactive approach is always finding new business. The number one thing we should be spending most of our time with, day in and day out, is finding new people to talk to, right? We have to kind of stop to think, like, we're really not in the real estate business. Real estate's the product. The business we're in is people. Like, we gotta find people. People that live in the homes, that wanna hire us to market and sell. And that's our biggest challenge, is finding people. So I'm gonna go down a couple approaches today and share with you from some simple strategies and then evolve them to some really cool social media ideas and ways to go prospect easier. And I'll take you down the path. But first I wanna start off with core basics. If I said to you, how many of you right now have a market area, like an area that you could define with like 20% market share in listing inventory? Couple? Awesome. Congrats. It's very hard to do, isn't it? Okay, that's okay. So isn't that hard to do? It's hard to accomplish. Now I want to share with you this. I know we will go drive 30 minutes one direction or 50 miles another direction to go get that listing in this market. We'll go anywhere. And that's not what I'm saying. Is what we have to start to think about real estate is, I don't care if you're 15, 20 years or even new in this business, is we got to create what we call a feeder program. Kind of like use a lot of sports analogies, right? A good feeder program feeds the talent all the way up the line. And when I built my career, all my career was built around listing inventory. Now, I understand markets will shift, but there was a time in my career, I remember having a minimum, now not this kind of market, but a minimum of 40 listings at a time. Now, that's a different set of problems, carrying that much inventory. Here, we're on the flip side of that. Now we got to find it, but it's all still built the same way. The way it's built is this. You've got to define your area that you know has the most activity and the most amount of churn and the most amount of transactions. And a lot of times, it might not even be the highest price point that you want. Like, it might be a little bit lower, but where the activity happens, and here's why. Creating that feeder program, like a sport, I'll give you the sports analogy, is like taking the youth athletes taking them through to the high school group. You're training them up, and they're building up to then college and then to pro. Here was one of my feeder programs as an example. $285,000 townhome development, 700 units that got a lot of activity, meaning I could get first-time home buyers in, even though it's a competitive market now, but get them in. A couple of years later, life events will happen. They have another child or two. They now can't stay on that one. They've outgrown it. So now I get that listing back, feeder program, sell them up to the Colonial at $450, put them in there. Life events will continue to happen 3 to 5 years later if I did my job, and they need to move again, whether it's a job change, career change, marital change, kids off to college change, whatever that is, and I'll get that listing again. But where did it all start? The feeder program. So we've got to find a place to get dominance and a place to understand, like, where's the area going to come from? So I want you to think of this. Find that area that you could define as the most activity, that you want to target and own the market in. Find it, define it. Then figure out who has the biggest piece of the pie in there. Who has it? Now, you're going to see a couple things. I tell people all the time, run some numbers. You're either going to see different names and different agents and different brands mixed up, which is okay, or you're going to see that every fourth or fifth sale or sixth sale, you seem to be coming across that same name or that same team. And that's okay. Here's that sports side of me. If I was going to play a football game next week against you guys, what's the typical football team doing this week to prepare? What do I do to prepare for you guys for next week? We're studying film, right? I'm watching you. I want to know what you do really well. I want to know what your weak points are. I want to know all that. Not in a bad way. Like, we all get along really well, but when it comes to a listing presentation, I want to win. I want to win. So I want to know what I'm competing with. So we have to simply just justify, okay, if this is who has this market, I just want to know what they do really well and what I could do better, so when I compete, I can get dominance. Now, once you get the one listing in there, because you're spending your time marketing and doing your, we talked about I heard somebody talk about open houses before, and someone said, we don't have enough time for open houses, right? Because how quick are homes selling in your market? Same day, 72 hours, right? But does that mean there's not enough time for an open house? No, we're missing opportunities. I just want to let that, let's plan things a little differently. Because listen, what's the whole purpose of an open house? Let's just talk about it out loud for a second. Buyer leads, okay, and you might go, I don't need more buyer leads. But listen, some buyers might have to sell, right? What else? Marketing. Neighbors, I get the prospect and circle prospect. I get more signs in the ground. I get signs on the corner. I get to run some ads. Even if it's only going to be on the market for 1 day or 2 days. Why wouldn't I tell my seller, I want to maximize exposure and drive a lot more people through this home, so we're going to put it on the market Friday night and have an open house on Saturday that they can come back on Sunday for final offers, highest and best. Because you're losing the opportunity of marketing yourself to be able to prospect and get signs on the ground to market yourself more in that neighborhood. Too many people are just putting the home on, chasing offers, getting it done, and then trying to find another one. We have to use the leverage of that one property to get more. That's what we have to leverage. So I don't want you all chasing that same piece of pie. So what I want you to think about is, how do we find our numbers in that core market? Once you find that core market, here's the next simple question. If there's 700 homes there, and I barely know one of them as a human being, how do you get to meet them? Because all we have to do is get them to like and trust us now. That sounds really easy, but it's hard as hell, right? It's hard. How do I get there? There's only a couple simple ways to do it. We heard them today. I could go knock on their doors and introduce myself, which 1988, 89, 90, 95, I did. And by the way, in a mustard gold jacket. Not even a good-looking gold at the time. Just saying. I was like Doogie Howser with a beacon walking down the street. Because, that was our brand. That's all we had. We didn't have anything. We didn't have no technology. There was no internet. But guess what? Did it work? Sure. I talked to people. Now, I could mail and send postcard mailers to it, of course. I could do that. That works. If there's a good call to action, I know Eric talked about it earlier. If there's a good call to action, direct mail will work, right? It also works for branding. How else do I get to know them? How do I get their data? Let's bring some new school ideas in. How do I get their data? Because I have tax records, but that's not a phone number or an email address. So I want to call them. What was that? Spokio, right? So if you have a system that can get phone numbers and email addresses, you could do that. You could gather their data. And I'm going to share with you a couple different ways to get data and be able to get some of their phone numbers and some of their email addresses. But before I do that, I want to teach you what I did in a market before Facebook was born, and then I would do with Facebook right now, is I want to learn how to go deeper into that core market. And what I learned is, if I can knock on doors, I can talk to one person at a time. Or, what if I got to know people around that area that knew a lot more people than I did? And for me, it was the local businesses that served that area. Follow me for a second. Who delivers food in there all day long? Where do those people go before, during, and after work? How do I find out how to get to those people if I can't get to them at their house? So I realized all the local businesses, the karate studio, the bagel shop, the coffee shops, the pizzerias, and I went and prospected businesses. Now check this out. We heard about getting content today from 10 different, maybe even 100 different areas to get content. But I used this for a prospecting opportunity, and I'll share with you how I did it. Today's world, how many of you have a Facebook business page that's getting very little engagement right now? Very little to none in some cases. Big show of hands, Facebook business page. Right, you know why? Because they don't want you to. The algorithm doesn't want you to. On your personal page, you'll get a lot of it. Business page, but let's not take away from a business page. It's still public, so it gets found on Google. It still has reviews, so that's good for your reputation. And if you're gonna run ads, you need the page. But what I would do in pre-Facebook, I had a website, and I created something in the town that I was going to market myself in. And this is one that's called All Marblehead. But I would be making a page right now on Facebook called The Best of Marblehead. Give me a town that you guys will, let's just use Columbia for a second, right? What if I had a site right now? I know nobody in town as far as homeowners. And I created a website called, or a Facebook page called The Best of Columbia. And I went outside my farm area, and I walked in, and this was actually a real script. You want to hear the real script I used very first day? Straight up, real script. Who wants to role play with me real quick? Can I role play with one of y'all? Like, you just have to, you're the pizzeria. You're not gonna, so I'm like, hey, I'm Jeff Lobb. Hey, we created this awesome Facebook business page. I'm in the real estate business. It's called The Best of Columbia. And I've loved your pizza for the longest time. And I just want to be able to highlight you guys on my page as one of the best in the area and be able to promote you guys to my real estate audience. Would that be okay? Now think about that for a second. Now, when I really did this, pre-Facebook on a website, I did it because I knew my pizzeria owner knew thousands of people. He also knew everyone. He delivered all day long into my farm area, all day. Now, what he really said back then was, that sounds cool, but how much? Right, that's logical. I didn't have an answer. There was no script for this, but what came out of my face made sense. He just went, well, how much? And I go, no, we don't sell anything. We sell a lot of real estate in the area, plug, and we have a lot of clients in real estate that are always looking for someplace new to go try. I thought I would just send them to you and promote you guys. Would that be okay? Now, here's what this did for me. This is called prospecting, right? Could I do that anywhere? Could I go right now to a bagel store downtown in Columbia and have that conversation with somebody with very little resistance? Because I don't love the rejection either. And here's what it really did for me. He was like, yeah, this sounds cool. What do you want to do? Now, back then, I'll take you, we took a couple pictures and made a post, and I did a blog. Today, it's now video. Let's do a little interview. Let's talk about how long you're in the business, and what's your favorite pizza, and what's your favorite dish, and whatever cool stuff about it, because guess what it's doing? Prospecting to get to know and like this person. Get them to like me. Gives me content. When I post it, does that make me look like a local expert too? Yes. What if I did one a week? What if I said, of all those people that live in that area, where do they go and take their kids? Where do they go? The coffee shop. I mean, go to the dance studios. Go to the places where people are and leverage a Facebook business page. Because when I say I'm going to put you on one of my pages called The Best of, boom, I elevated them. Now, I didn't ask them for business. I didn't say, oh, you got to put my cards on the corkboard thing, or you got to put me on your counter. I didn't ask for anything. I just want to build rapport and give value. And you know what? I'll come back and do it again next month too. And what it really did for me was, I got a phone call, I don't know, a couple weeks later. We did some stuff with this gentleman, very first day. He called me back and he goes, hey, you know what? I know you do a lot of marketing. And he goes, I appreciate what you did. He said, you know what? I got the rights to do all the baseball catering in town. and I get to put up a big banner. You want to split it with me? I'm like, oh, how much? He's like, no, we'll just split it. Like, you're helping me, I'll help you. So guess what? Boom, I'm on every baseball field now. Like, one little thing turns into others, and it's a simple ask. And if you ask me, drop me in the middle of anywhere USA and I have to start selling real estate tomorrow, would I start doing that as one of the things? 100%, because it's an easy way to talk to people, right? When you see Facebook pages, this one's called All Marblehead. Same concept, Marblehead's up in New England. Tons of content. Everything that's happening in that town is happening on that page, and it's from a real estate agent. Now, here's the mistake, though, because there's always a mistake. One of my dear coaching clients thought she was going to be really sassy, and she took a couple weeks and came back to me all excited about her page, and she showed it to me, and it was all her favorite places to go eat, food places and restaurants. And I said, wow, that's a lot of work, a couple weeks. She's like, oh, yeah, I spent time finding all my favorite places to go, and I'm like, did you go talk to anybody? She's like, no, I'm making a page about my favorite things to do so my clients can see it. I go, no. This is not about making posts. This is about using a page to go talk to people, to build relationships with, that I could build rapport with and generate business from in my farm area and around my farm area. She's like, oh, see, there's an easy way to do this. Sit around on a rainy day and make posts, or go out and prospect and talk to people with a very little rejection rate. So does that make sense from a Facebook business page? Here's how it gets deeper. These are some of our clients down in Jupiter, Florida. They took it to the next level of video. So they're out now doing video interviews with even cooler entrepreneurs that have access to people. So here's the detail dude. You know what the detail dude does in Florida? Details cars, yachts, and planes. I think I want access to his contact list, right? So guess what? He's hustling and grinding all day. I'd be like, hey, it's Jeff Lobb. I'm with XYZ Realty. We sell a lot of real estate in the area. We're helping promote some of the best businesses in Colombia, or wherever he's at. And I would say, listen, we just want to promote you to our clients. Can we do a little video with you guys and help blow you guys up a little bit? Oh, yeah, that's cool. And we do. And then we take it further. Who else could we find? Then we get into the foods and the unique places. Where's the cool spots to go to? So instead of just posting about them, make it a prospecting opportunity with the exact script that I would use day in and day out. Right? So that's where we're finding people take prospecting and farming and tying them together. Make some sense? Cool. All right, so now, here we go. So that's one way. Now, the other way is I got to get their data. If I had their data and we have a system, there's systems out there that you can pay for to get data, but I'll give you a simple, inexpensive one. You guys could go to Fiverr. Fiverr, the place that does, your logos and designs and stuff for 10, 15 bucks. It's supposed to be $5, but it's elevated, right? How many of you guys used Fiverr before? Bunch? Yeah. So go into Fiverr, go search skip tracing, which is not new, been around for a long time, and they will scrub your tax record list, and they're just gonna want you to get an Excel spreadsheet, give them the tax records of your farm area, they will spit it back for 10, 20, 30 bucks, and give you emails and phone numbers that go to that address. That sounds pretty magical, except here's the problem. And I'm just telling you the problem because we face this battle on a daily basis with the people we work with. Is all the data gonna be accurate? No. Are you going to get a wrong phone number and a bad email address? Yes. Are you going to get the teenager's cell phone number instead of the parents'? Yes. But guess what? When I woke up this morning, I don't know if it'll go backwards on me. I had none of them. I only had tax records. I had nobody's phone number. If I skip trace it, and I can get 30%, that's accurate. Now I have the ability to text, ask questions, make some phone calls. And I understand there's a do not call list and we've got some other things, but if I'm just simply looking for the opportunity for people that might be looking to sell, or if I've got buyers that have needs that want to purchase in that area, it gives me more data to use to build my database, including email addresses too. Now there is a little simple true people search is like one of those, like what was the one you said, Spokio? True people search is one I find fairly accurate to do like one at a time. And the reason I say that is I put my own stuff in there, and it's really accurate, and it scared the hell out of me. It's got stuff, it's got not only my phone numbers from now, it's got phone numbers I had back in college, and it has houses and condos I flipped from like 20 years ago, still listed as properties I owned. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but if it can give you the data in your farm area that you need to go to build listing inventory and try and fight for listings, you can get it in a couple different ways that cost you very, very little. Okay? All right. Just take a look at that. How many of you run your day like this? And I know this because this was me, straight up. This was one of my biggest problems. See, one thing that took me a long time in my career as I evolved through teams and owning brokerages is I was stubborn, and I thought I could do everything. I was just like, I could do it all. I'm good. Until I burnt out of the business. I actually burnt out twice. Truth. Crashed and burned really bad once, lost everything. If you ever need to hear that story one day, I'll tell it to you. I'll tell you what the mistakes I made, I'll tell you what cost me, I'll tell you everything I lost, I'll tell you why I lost it. But I also built it back too. And it was because I thought I could control everything. So one thing I learned here is we run our business crazy like this. And you might be really good at some things, but not good at others. But the one thing I want to make this point in this few minutes with this is how important data is and how much money you're losing you don't know about. Right? So I used to find FSBOs like under the car seats and the car mats, like expireds I was supposed to call 3 weeks ago, and I jotted it down. Or you jot stuff down on notebooks. You guys notebook kings and queens, like just jot it all down. But it's never in a database to actually have the data backed up and secured somewhere. And I'm going to show you, we're going to go through an exercise. We're going to find out how much money we're losing. So let's go there. So here's a question. Here's where it came from first. It wasn't even my idea. I was in Miami. I was asked to go down and moderate a top producer half-day mastermind with 8 teams. 8 teams that were spending a minimum of $100,000 a month on either Facebook, Google AdWords, some kind of spend. And the whole premise is find out how much the cost of leads were, the value of leads and the cost of leads. So we were doing this half-day mastermind. Everyone's talking about $7 a lead, $8 a lead, $52 a lead. Everyone had their numbers like scientists. They were smart. They knew everything. But then I asked them a question. I go, we're always talking about leads, meaning someone that's ready to buy a home. What's the value of a contact? And they all looked at me like, I don't know, what do you mean? A contact. Like, I just met you. You got my card. I got your card. What's the value of that? They're like, I don't know, none. Like, they're not ready to buy a house. Like, everyone's so focused on the lead, they're ready to buy. And remember, what's our business again? It's not real estate, it's people. That person's business card. What's the value of that? No one knew. So I said, we're going to do this exercise. So we stopped and we did this. I said, all right, let's figure it out. So I asked the question I'll ask you. Give me your numbers because there's no right or wrong. I said, how many contacts do you think you need? A contact, meaning just a person's name, phone number. How many contacts over the period of 1 year do you think you need to get into your database to sell either them or someone they know a house? One house. How many do you need? And there's, just pick a number. Some were like 50, 100. Give me some numbers. How many? 100? Say it louder. 50. 5. Hanging out with these guys more. 5 closed. That's awesome. 5. Hey, good. If you could do that, magical, right? 50, 100, whatever it is. So then give me the next set of numbers. Now get your calculator. I'll pick the average. Let's say 100. Let's say 100. Now someone give me the amount of a gross commission check of one sale, average sale in your market. Gross. How much? Give me a check. You guys hopefully get paid. What's a check look like? 8 grand? 8 grand? 8 grand-ish? Good average? Your numbers, not mine. So if I had 100 people that I got their information, they're not ready to buy, but they were in my database, I stayed in touch with them, I connected with them on social media, I mail them, I email them. Over the course of 1 year, I might sell one of them a home or someone they know a home and might make 8 grand, right? Get your calculators out. What's the value of a contact? So take 8 grand and divide by 100 or 100 divided by 8 grand, whichever way. Got the number? 80 bucks. 80 bucks. $80. Now, how many of you have sticky notes on your desk right now? How many of you have business cards that are stacked somewhere not in your database? How many of you would walk around and take $80 for every one of them? Every one of them has an $80 value. How many would you just walk around and drop them on the ground? 80 bucks. 80 bucks. Because if you think about it differently, would you do something different? Fortunately, I got some cash on me today. How many of you would drop around, think about every sticky note, every open house, everything you've done that's sitting there that's not in your database that you can't nurture and turn into a transaction, you would just toss it just like this. Every one of them. Now, I don't care. Would you do it if it was 20 bucks? Would you throw away the data if it was 20 bucks? I'll follow you around all day long. It's so easy to just go pick up your money. Because guess what? We don't realize that that piece of information, even though they're not ready to buy right now, life events will happen. Life will change very quickly, and over a period of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, they didn't need you, but now they do. They had a job but lost it. They were married, now they're not. They're now having twins and don't fit in the house. Things will happen, and the question's going to be is, all of this stuff that you have all over the place is lost money. And we don't realize that because they're not really a lead. We don't see it that way. So I want you to think about every notebook you have, everything that's not in your database, every sticky note, every pile of something as 20, 40, 80 bucks. Now I'll give you the national numbers. I've been doing this for a year with this sample. You want to see what the national numbers were, and you guys gave me the numbers. I'm not a magician. You guys gave me the numbers. Most people have said across the country where I do this, 100 contacts that turn into one sale, average sale $8,000. It couldn't have been more magical. You guys said almost the same numbers. But if it's 50 or 150, who cares? I want you to understand that people's data to be able to nurture and turn into relationships is where you're missing the money. Problem is you just don't see it because it's sitting there in a sticky note or on a notebook. Right? So I want you to think about that differently. They will turn into listings and turn into business for you. We good? Now, how about these? You guys have dead leads. How many of you guys have dead leads sitting in a database that have never called you back ever, and you could never get a hold of them ever? You all got a list of those? Tons of them, right? They make you nuts. 6 months down the road, nothing. No calls back. Ignore you. If you guys got a list, I'll take them. Y'all give them to me? Would y'all give me your dead lead list? How many of you would give them to me? Give me your leads. Give them to me. Look, wait. You're never going to call them. They are never going to call you. And you're not going to give them to anybody. Wait a minute. Sell them? For what? They're dead. They're dead leads. You all just said they're dead. Never talking to them, ever. But yet you're all going to hold on to something. You're all holding on to money. Here's why. And I know this because now I would have been in your shoes too going, yeah, they're paying. They don't call me back. They don't answer anything. I got it. But guess what happens over time? Things change. But I also had to learn this. I had to put the ego away for a second and go, you know what? Am I great on the phone? Am I personally great on the phone? No. I'm not. I'm okay on the phone. I am much better in person. My phone skills are okay at best. But guess what? You might be a lot better on the phone. You might have better voice, tonality, tenacity to call them more times. And when you get them on the phone finally, they might like to talk to you because it's a different time of their lives when we finally got a hold of them. So when we manage and work with teams that are on, like, let's say systems, like one's on YLOPO, one's on Zillow Flex, and all these team agents are getting leads, right? So 50 leads, 80 leads, 100 leads in their database. And as we go through them, they're going, these are the good ones, here's hot, here's cold, here's the dead ones. What do you do with the dead ones? Well, they're all bad. They're terrible. Leads suck. They're this, all those reasons not to call them. Well, guess what? When that agent is no longer on that team and there's 300 dead leads sitting there, what do you think we do with them? Here you go. And guess what happens? Magically, we get 2 appointments. Magically, we find out 3 people on the list bought a house already, but not from them. Magically, we find out there's 2 people that actually may be interested in the next couple of months. Magically, all those crappy leads turn into something when called back over a period of time by somebody else. So were they really dead? No. So I really don't want your dead leads, although I would take them. Because I would just probably hire somebody that's really good at it to do it for me and just give me the lead so I can go on appointments and do what I do best. They're called inside sales agents, by the way, ISAs. But take your dead leads and either get them to somebody that has the time to do it, that's a little bit better at it, or pay someone to do it. And if they convert them, get them back to you. They're in your database anyway. You already paid for them. There's no cost involved with what you already had. You already took the time. So there's money in dead leads, and there's money potentially in new listing opportunities that they haven't called yet. So work your dead ones, please. Please, some of you. All right, so I want to shift and give you another thought process to change. Tell you what's broken. You heard Eric talk about content marketing. You heard people talk about different types of content marketing and our sphere of influence, right? Unfortunately, real estate clients think of us for only a few things. They think we're simply good for buy, sell, and lease. That's it. I'm a real estate agent. So when we go outside the industry, sometimes we have to go outside the industry to find the magic to bring back inside. So whether you're an Apple fan or not, it's not really about that, even though I am an Apple fanboy. Just letting you know I have more Apple stuff than I should probably admit to. But what does Apple really sell? What is the value of making them $1 trillion company? What is it really? And then we'll come up with the solution. So it's not because they make like the best phones, or the best TVs, or the best watches, or the best credit cards, or the best devices, or the best, they got a million things going on. But what really made them the value was they created an ecosystem that you have to rely on to get access to your life. Think about that 1 second. The ecosystem, meaning just because it's a good device, it makes it okay. But if I need my email, I have to go here, or theoretically here. If I want to text, it's here. Camera, here. Data, here. Search, here. I have to go into the unique data system, the ecosystem, to get it. So you see why it could become almost an addiction. I want social media, here. Everything here. App Store, here. So now let's take that idea, and let's think about real estate for a second. You get done selling a home, you have your closing. It's like kind of going through the whole relationship process, right? It's like you guys are showing houses, you're in the dating phase, you're texting every day like a bunch of lunatics. You finally get to a contract that's like, I got engaged, we made a commitment. You know, you get to the closing table, hopefully it's wedding day. Honeymoon is, I got the check, I'm gonna cash it. And then y'all get divorced like 3 weeks later, goodbye. I'm gonna put you into my drip mail campaign. I'm gonna drip on you for the next 3 to 5 years of your life. Drip, drip, drip. But I don't need to talk to you. We're good. You liked me. And you heard so many times today, of all days, today, that, you know, people forget about us. They do this, they do that. But it does feel sometimes like divorce, right? So here's why. And here's what's proven to me that it's broken. There's not a day that goes by that I don't go to Facebook and go to a group in my community or town where some human being is asking for a recommendation for a good electrician. I'm looking for a good landscaper. I'm looking for a good plumber. And this one little sample, although you can't read it, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's in my hometown, and I know that post and that person closed on a home 10 months before that post. 10 months. And they were looking for a plumber to unfreeze their kitchen sink or something like that. Here's my question. You're vetting strangers in Facebook. Why didn't you call your realtor? Why didn't you call your realtor? And if I asked them that question, they would go, I don't know, never thought about that. What do they know about plumbers? How many of y'all know plumbers? You can refer me a plumber right now. Right now, right? There you go. You didn't prove that value to them. They don't think you can do that. How do they know you can do that? You could provide a lot more value than plumbers and electricians. How about this? We need an ecosystem that when anything comes up around real estate, they should call you. That's what we need to work on, getting them to know that we have more value. Imagine this, and here, you know how I learned this too? During COVID. What are you going to do when you can't go out and see people? Pick up the phone and call your past clients. Well, we all did it. Well, guess what? I get people that say, Jeff, I finally talked to a few of them. How'd it go? I was like, it was really awkward. I don't know what to say. I haven't talked to them in 5 years. Like, okay. So what did they actually say? They were like, oh, I'm glad everything's going well, but, you know, we're not looking to buy or sell, so we're good. That's it? That's all? They go, I don't know what else to talk about. See, there's the shame of it. You know how many things they probably needed around their home and around real estate in the last 5 years that you could have helped them with, but they don't know you do it or could help them? And see, when you do it really well, here's the big difference. There's agents in this world that'll do 5 or 10 transactions a year, and then there's some that I work with very closely that are doing 120 a year in the same low inventory market. And what's the difference of the one doing 120? And she told me this about 6, 7 months ago. She shared this story because I couldn't believe it was that cool about it. She goes, you want to hear something cool about what I do in the community stuff? She does a ton of community. She does a lot of the stuff we talk about right here. She says, one of my past clients called me and said, hey, listen, my 2-year-old is not feeling well, fever and sick. My pediatrician has retired, actually to the Carolinas, and I need a recommendation. I know you know everybody, I trust you. Who's a good pediatrician? She called her realtor. Imagine that. The value of power of knowing, not only do I trust her, she has so many good connections, I call her first. She didn't go to Facebook and vet strangers, because you're going to get 100 different answers. So, do you ever see these posts, by the way? This is the most hysterical thing ever. Like, I need a plumber. Then after, like, every husband and wife, my husband's a plumber, my wife's, and after 20 or 30 or 50 posts, what I want to do is go to call that person that posted and go, did that help you at all? Are you confused as hell? Who the hell do you call now? Everyone's amazing. So you've got to be really confused. So, because everyone's going to be great, right? So we've got to create an ecosystem. Think about the stuff you're sending out. How do you help them know and understand that you have value to help them with everything in real estate? The videos that you do should be around that. Maybe work with the contractors and create the content to say, hey, I'm working with a few of my favorite contractors today. Because you think they're going to appreciate that business? A good electrician out there grinding away, anybody, a landscaper. Landscapers were my salespeople. Landscapers were the best salespeople for me. Why? I promoted their business, the 1 or 2 or 3 that I liked, but I'll tell you, I can't tell you the listings I used to get when, I'll never forget this one. It was a landscaper doing some cleanup work in the spring, because we live in New Jersey, it's a hot mess in the spring. And she said to him straight up, like, hey, we want to do a little more mulch and some flowers. We want to do a better cleanup. We're going to get ready to put the house on the market. And he could have just went on his way and put his mulch in and did his thing. But he said, oh, that's awesome. We'll take care of it for you. Did you hire a realtor yet? She's like, nope, we're going to interview him now. And he goes, be right back. I want you to talk to my guy, Jeff. And he personally gave her the card and said, you need to call him. And I got the interview. And I got the listing. I still had to compete for it. But I'd have never have known that existed. Because I did this kind of stuff with the people that were all wrapped around real estate that creates an ecosystem. Remember, we're not just buy, sell, lease. Think of it like Apple. Think of it like that device. Everything has to flow through. How can we get more people calling you for the things wrapped around the business of real estate? So that's how we got to shape out our business, right? And it's going to come down to the marketing and the messaging you put out. That's a big one for me. Here's some examples of some things people are doing in some markets. One in my North Jersey market I'll share, but that's giving them stuff related to community, emotional things happening in town, and things to get a buzz. So in North Jersey during September, October, there's only one thing happening on weekends. It's either pumpkin picking or apples, and this is what everyone's doing, coming in from the city out to our country to pick apples and do stuff with the kids. So locally, they put together the apple and pumpkin picking guide. Now they do it once. They do it in Canva, which isn't like, it's easy to do. But here's more importantly what happens. When you start putting specific locations and the visual locations of those places to go, and I've heard this from the clients, they said it hits an emotional button. When they start getting this content, first of all, it gives them something they could be doing in their town. And then they'll say, oh my God, Stony Hill Farms. I haven't been there since I was a kid. Oh my God, we got to go back there. We haven't been there in years. Guess what? That's an emotional connection, doesn't it? Who sent that? Their real estate agent. Stuff that gets read because it's community driven. Now guess what? Do I have to create another one just like this next year? I might have to replace like 1 or 2 of them. So I do the work once and then aggregate. Now this is just screenshots of a digital piece of content I'm just sharing. They also put in their 12 festive apple cocktails, the best hard cider made in New Jersey, and some fun stuff about that time of year happening in their community. That's stuff that gets engagement. People look forward to that stuff. I'll give you others. The other things happening. What's happening in your town? Now, this is going to sound crazy, but we all have pretty busy lives. I'm pretty busy. I live in small town America, New Jersey. And I'll tell you what, I was getting some stuff from a couple realtors in my market. And one of them was, we had an old movie theater, little tiny thing, closed down as a movie theater, but became kind of like one of those open mic nights, or they would invite bands to come in. Next thing you know, credible people start coming in, and they're doing comedy nights and all this cool stuff. One of my favorite comedians was coming into my little town 3 months out. You had to book him early. I only knew about it because they sent me one of these. I probably drive by the place a couple times a week, but I have no idea what's really happening. So they put together, like, in this case, this is called like Hudson County Happenings, Sussex County Happenings. What is happening that's cool and unique in your business and your market that people should be paying attention to? That's content that will get read. That's content that your consumers would open. And I like the way Eric said this before, because I'll say it to you, maybe in a different way. How many of y'all have some form of email marketing campaign that goes out to clients? I don't care how long it goes out, but it goes out to past clients. Show of hands, give it to me. You got it going out. So now let's flip the script. If you were now your client and you were getting your own emails, how many of you would A, open them and find them valuable to read? Show me the hands. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. So we won't read our own stuff. Stop it. Stop. So I could also go, how many of y'all get digital junk mail every day? That's what you're sending your clients. So let's think more creative. I know automation is important, and it could be automated, but the content needs to be much more relevant. You're going to say, but Jeff, this takes work. This is going to take time. Listen, you could hire younger generation people that are savvy with Canva. You could hire college kids to do it for you. You can go on Fiverr and get it done for you. You could pay somebody to do it because you're only going to do it a couple times a year, done once, and every year you just change it up and edit it. But it has to be relevant. What would you open up is the question. What would you open up in your own market that you would find going, oh my God, this is cool. This is happening in my town. Think about what that would be and send that to yourself. Because that's where we get stuck. We start thinking, we always think like a real estate agent. We don't think like the end user that's getting it. Let's think like them. What would they want? What would you want? Now, I'll give you a couple things, and I got a couple cool data pieces as well. But from a local standpoint, this is a cool company. And by the way, none of this stuff, I don't sell any of this stuff. I just come across stuff that I believe that I would use to differentiate myself. And then I tell you how I'd use it. And then you could either go vet it yourself or find something similar. But here's a couple cool ideas that come to local community stuff was Lolo.gifts. I came across them at a conference, and it was tied to exactly this theme. I said, what do you guys do? And they're like, well, we go into your market. Once they get enough people to participate, agents, they go into your market and find local businesses willing to give offers to your customers. They do all the work, all the vetting and all the stuff, and then they take your email list and send your clients and past clients valuable things happening in your town with discounts or things to go try and do or new craft beer to try, all done for you. But it's all tying in your local businesses. It was a cool idea, and it wasn't that expensive. So I like that it was tying in local community. You guys do any local gifting and stuff? I know there's rules on how much you can spend, how much not. Another one you can check out is Client Giant. Client Giant has everything from the simple little experience, like cool things like, hey, we saw your stuff on Facebook, and we found something cool like it, and we sent it to you, like very concierge-y. Concierge-y, that's a word? Concierge-y? I understood that part. It is now. Concierge-y. So Client Giant will do also from very simple to really extreme. If you guys are selling some bigger stuff and some higher end stuff, ask them about their higher end packages. They'll blow you away. Very, very unique to the individual. But just figured I'd drop that in here. Now, here's the one I want to share. If you're going to send something to your clients that might sound a little more relevant, this gets sexy. This takes data. Now, I know HomeBot when it started. I was fortunate to know Ernie. He's the owner and creator of it when it started. And it was clunky in the beginning. When things started, it was clunky. It didn't have all the features and bells and whistles. But HomeBot is very personalized information about your home sent to you, the homeowner, telling you all cool things you could do to save money on your home. Should you refinance or not? What if you made an two extra payments on your house? What if you wanted to take some money for your college plan for your kids? And it shows you relevant information about your own property. So it's not just generic, here's some mortgage information. It's your house, your mortgage, your numbers, and what if we did this? What if we went to a 15-year instead of a 20? What if you made 2 extra payments a month? What would that look like? Right? Here, if you pay $300 more a month, you could save X. We don't have to think. When your homeowners get that, now this particular model of HomeBot ties and coincides with a lot with like your mortgage lender as well, right? You guys seem like you're using it. But I'll tell you what, the data gets read. It's beautiful. I enjoy reading mine because it's always giving me things to think about my property in ways I'm going to save money on my equity. So it's very personal to me. And it'll give you all the simple things on a mobile device because it's very mobile friendly. So if you're going to send people something, that's something that gets wow factor, customers open, and they like it. But it's usually partnered with a mortgage partner because obviously there's cost savings between the two of you. All right, so check out HomeBot. It's pretty sexy the way it rolls out the data, mapping. They've added so many features to it. It's fantastic, especially as rates are bumping up now too. This is even more helpful. All right, so, oh, actually there was cool. We talked about BombBomb earlier. Let me go back on. Well, go back. Can you push me back one? Yeah, okay. So there's a BombBomb integration, which I don't know if you all know that. You could do a little BombBomb video in HomeBot. See a little face right there? Talking about, hey, I was thinking about you guys this weekend. I wanted to make sure you saw this. Like you could do your own little video built into HomeBot as well, which is kind of cool. Like almost like that screen share thing Alicia showed you earlier. So they have an integration with BombBomb too, which is pretty cool. If you're going to especially do something very custom out to your market. All right, cool. All right, so here's problem and solution to me. Marketing to win listings. So here's the problem. Well, you heard, let's go over, first of all, let me give you some relative concept. The problem BombBomb solved was, if I want to send a video by email, videos don't open right, they're too big of a file, they don't play right, millions of things that go wrong, so that was the solution. Well, if I said to you, hey, we're thinking about selling our house, why don't you send me some information? Like a pre-listing package or something. The question is what will you send? Now, some people might say, okay, I'll mail you my brochures and my folder with my stuff. Others might mail me a CMA. Others might send me a link or an email to a couple things. But if I said email me stuff, and you want to email me a video, a link to your website, a couple PDF documents, a photo of something, what does that look like by email? It's a hot mess. You don't even know if they opened it. You don't know if they actually do open when they get the email. You clicked on the video. Did it open? Did it take me to the wrong site? No idea. So Keynote comes along, Keynote.io, and it takes you can have a very custom page with one link, your branding up top, and every type of medium and tech link you could put on this page basically, like a custom a la carte menu, if you want to think of it that way. And I'll show you a couple examples if I have them. Like these are screenshots, but the top could be branded to you. And then you could have, here's why to use my team, video. But it looks like a video and has a description next to it, not like a little link in an email. And then if you want to go, here's about our company, and even if it's a link to the company page, it's a visual link and a visual photo, like an a la carte menu. And then you say, well, here's a Matterport tour of how we market homes, and you put the Matterport tour there, and you could put whatever you want in that theme, pre-listing theme first, let's say, and then when you email to them, it's one link to a branded page, and the beautiful part is I get all the data and analytics to see exactly, oh, they watched the Matterport tour 4 times, or they opened up my team video twice. I get to see what they clicked on, how long they played it for, and all the data, but I know it got delivered, and I know it got opened, and it looked pretty. And we have people creating these for not just pre-listings. We have people creating this to get offers won. They put everything about why my team, our negotiation skills, all this other stuff, and then they just take the offer in a PDF or whatever it is and drop it in the top. And then we have people that say, listen, after we close, we're going to send you a link to this, everything you need to do after the sale. Here's the link to your electric company. Here's the stuff you need for, setting up your taxes. Here's everything you need. So people are creating themes out of Keynote that are very deliverable and very visual with great open rates. So it solved a lot of problems with that. So there's samples I have of all different types of things, but it's an a la carte menu. So we have top producers and teams across the country using it to win deals and differentiate themselves. That's how they're doing it. You guys tired of hearing video yet? I got a good one for you though. I saved this one. I saved this one just for y'all. So I won't dwell on video. Y'all need to do it, but I have a simple way to do it. And I'm not all a big fan about, it's just another app. Like, I'm apped out. If an app can't do something more magical for me, like, I don't need another one. I also don't want you to think of like another shiny object. So when I find something that makes me go from using 3 things to doing it in 1, now I'm down for it. So here's one of the challenges is for those of you that get stuck knowing what to say, I think we heard a few people talking about like almost like a visual teleprompter. The app called Big View, BIGVU, and I use it, does 2 things. One okay, one really cool. Let's start with the okay part. It gives you a teleprompter opportunity because if you have something and you want to upload it, like you want to talk about 3 beds, 2 baths, market stats, you can upload it into the Big View platform and it will become a teleprompter for you. So you're actually looking at the phone and the camera while you're reading it. So it keeps your attention versus having it like over here and you're trying to double eye it, right? So that's one cool thing. And it's okay, it's a teleprompter, right? But what it also does is the number one thing we need to think about in video, and you probably all do it, is when you can't, like if right now, if you're watching a video, which some of you probably are while I'm talking, but you don't have the audio on. Not my first day. I sat there all day. I know what y'all do. But there's no audio on, so what are you doing? Are you reading something? You're reading captions. They got little captions coming across the bottom. So captions are very important, meaning just having the words flow across. But what we used to have to do, and I did captions, was I would take the audio, take my video, and I would just shoot it just like everybody else said. Naturally, I don't care about the lighting anymore. I don't have hair anymore, so it doesn't matter. Don't care what I look like, and I just shoot it. But then to get the captions, I would have to upload it to a site called Rev, R-E-V, which I don't do anymore, but I did. And for $1 a minute, they would take all my words, transcribe it to text, and then I'd throw it back into the video thing and overlay it over top of my video. And I didn't even do that. I have a team that does that because remember I learned, do what I do really well and find some other cool people that do that better than me. But they did that for me, and that's okay, that worked. But in this little app, there's a button that says, after you do your little video thing, boop, you're done, and you're going to hit next, it'll say, do you want to turn on captions? Yes, turn it on. Converts it all right there. Boop, all your words. And it puts it all right there for you. But guess what? It doesn't hear every Jersey word that comes out of my face correctly. So it's always got some misspellings in there, but that's okay. See those little gray boxes? They're little text boxes. It always spells my name L-O-B, so I got to go in there and add a B, Lobb. There's always other couple words. You could just type over the words and spell them correctly, but here's the beauty of it. How many of you are all ums and ah people? The ums and ahs. You know how many times ums and ahs you say? Here's the cool part. If it says ums and ahs, and you go to little text boxes and it says take out the and it takes out the audio of you saying and it's out. No ums, no ahs. And then you just save it. And then, of course, you can export it to a nice video that's got your captions with no ums and ahs, and you could have a teleprompter to do it for you, too. That's kind of cool, isn't it? I just like that. I didn't have to take all my stuff out of one and upload it to something else to do some editing. I don't want to edit anymore. We don't want to do anything. So Big View became more of a confidence thing for me. Is it perfect? No. You know, it's an evolving app, but it still solves some problems. You know, also on Instagram now, if you do Instagram stories and stuff too, you could also turn the captions on for that, by the way. Make sure you turn on captions. So if you're doing a lot of Instagram stuff too, make sure the words are getting converted to text. Because you would never got through this conference if you weren't watching video under the table today. And you know who you are, because I watched you do it. All right, so it does a whole bunch of editing. Let me go back a second, see if it'll bring me back. It also has like a background noise remover and some other cool features and some editing features that it's getting better at. I think there's a free version, a paid version. I pay for it because it's not that much money. It's a couple bucks. But it's definitely solving some problems. Now, there's a video with the text. If you notice, I spelled my name correctly because I changed it. But it's simply where the captions overlay. Now, you want to try and play this video? See if it'll play over there. Hey, it's Jeff Lobb, XYZ Realty here. What a name. And we're going to be having this awesome open house on Saturday. Yes, Saturday, 1 to 4 on this coming soon listing. It'll be the first time it's being shown in the market. It's going to be at 1239 Main Street in Hoboken, New Jersey. Just make sure you're there on time. It's going to be packed. We're going to have a lot of people there. It's a beautiful, beautiful house. 1 to 4 Saturday. Look forward to seeing you. Message me with any questions. So I just did a demo in the app, just to show you how the text overlays. I had to change a few spellings in it. Not a big deal, but it plays really nice. Captions look good, and it simplifies things. So hopefully that'll get you over some of your video fears, if that helps. Now, I'll kind of get down another pet peeve of mine. It's this thing called a business card. You just heard what happened before when we figured out the value of a contact, right? The value of a contact was almost $80. So if I gave you my business card today, respectfully, where is it in 3 months? Where? Still not, yeah, purses, laundry, still on a pile. That's not cool. That does nothing for me or you. We all do it though. I used to have a bag full of business cards, a bag full. So I decided to change that. And the other thing I find funny is, and it's not to pick on it, but I just have to laugh at it, is people that have social media icons on their card. The business card. Like, what are you supposed to do with it? Like, go like, it doesn't take me to Facebook. Oh, you're on Facebook? Like, it's a paper card. Why do you need an icon that says you're on Google? But we do it because that's what everyone else did. No more. I've made a conscious decision that said, yeah, I might have paper cards, but I know where it's going to go. But the only thing I need to do is I need to get into your phone. If I get into your phone, that's a win for me. If I can get real links and real live stuff to not just my phone number, but to everything social and to every way I want to connect with you, but I got to get in your device, that's my commitment now, is I need to get in the device. And I also want the customers so I can have their information as well. So I only showed a business card. It wasn't to pick on anybody. It was a generic business card. But we got to get digital business cards better. And there's a million of them out there now. I want to show you the one I'm using. You don't have to use this one. Don't care. It's one I use. There's like 5 others. But here's why. It's never about the technology. Remember, it's how do I use it? Why is it different? Here's why it's different. Years ago, the technology wasn't here to be able to tap a phone. If you want to get really geeky for a second, NFC, near field communication, means you could just tap the phone and the data would transfer. It wasn't here years ago. When the QR code was born, it sounded cool, but you had to have like some kind of app and you had to jump through hoops to get it to zoom in and a whole bunch of stuff, and it didn't work great. Well, then COVID hit, got 2.5 years lost in our world. Everything became a QR code if you wanted to eat anywhere, right? You're not eating unless you're scanning a QR code, so my 85-year-old grandmother's like, zoom in, baby. We're going to eat. It's Sunday morning. We're eating brunch. She figured out how to use it quickly. But guess what? Now every phone has just about every phone has the technology. Every phone can do a QR code. But more importantly, it's how we apply it. So I'm going to give you a couple tips. I'm going to give you a hack so you don't make the same mistake that other people are making. And the way it goes is this. There's that little tap thing. So the technology is tap my phone. But here's what happens. Does the tap always work? No. Because you know what? We have these big old battery cases like me, because I can't live on anything with a normal phone. I need a battery like 3 times the amount of battery every day. So nothing is working through that. So the next option would be is scan my QR code. But then you have to have that readily available too. And then third, I'll show you my third trick. So when you get one of these, call it digital business cards, it gives you a really clean, pretty mobile site. Like a sexy one, like with the real logos that you can really touch and they go somewhere. So you could have your Instagram, you could have search for homes, you could have a link to anything you want, including all of your social icons. There's even one that says, download my contacts. So when they get it on their phone, they hit download, and my stuff goes into their database, into their contacts. Like, that's where I have to be. So it gives you, and start the free one. There's a free one. Start free. The only thing you might spend a couple bucks on is one of these things that you can either stick on your phone, which this isn't like some magical secret, but it's about how you do it. But here's the problem I found. You know these little pop-up things that we all live by? Well, these little sticky things, the round ones, will fit on one of these. Or you just put it on your phone. But most people get cool and say, ooh, I'm going to put my brand and my logo on that. That sounds cool. Except when the tap thing doesn't work, and you go scan my QR code and you got your logo there, that's not helping either. So I just simply went into my free profile account, and I got the QR code that's in my account that it gives me, and I use that as the photo to put on here, so later if someone goes, and the tap doesn't work, I'll go just scan the QR code. It's right here. It's right here. Not my logo, because I don't care if it's my logo. I need the data. I want you to have my data. So you could buy business cards with just a QR code. You could get your own QR code from another and put it on your phone. But it was just a sexy way to have a mobile site with all of the icons. And the third way, because somehow if they can't figure out how to scan a QR code, I don't know at this point, like, so what's 3? It gives you a URL link. A URL, but it's not pretty. It's like popl.co/Jeff Lobb / something with some other numbers after it. Not good. So what did I do is I went, one of the many domains that I own, I got jefflobb.com and jefflobb.me and jefflobb.info. So I went and just got jefflobb.social. And I took jefflobb.social, just because it's branded, and I forward it to my little link that it gives me. So worst case is, I text you, jefflobb.social, because it's branded, it has my name in it, so you won't forget my name. Because if I sent you a whole Popl link thing, you'd be like, who the hell's this? In my phone and my text. If I send you jefflobb.social, oh, it's like a Jeff Lobb. And it'll elevate that. So for those of you who want to take a quick screenshot of my contact information, grab your phones, see if the QR code works. If not, Jeff Lobb, I forgot the dot there. Jefflobb.social is the third way to do it. While you're doing that, here's what I want you to remember today. We heard the word execution. If I said to you today, from this last hour session, what are 1 or 2, and this is important, what are the 1 or 2 things that we talked about right now, that you're going to go execute? What's that one idea? What's that one thing that you're going to execute that's going to help change your business? Give me a few. Give me 1 or 2 from this group over here. What's the 1 or 2 things you're going to go do to execute from this session right now? Video, what about it? The Big View app? You want to share it with me? There's my information. Share it with me. How about over here? What's the one thing we got from this last session? Give me 1 or 2 things. What is it? Ecosystem. That is huge. I'm telling you, you could spend the next year creating your ecosystem, getting your clients. Imagine if your client called you tomorrow going, hey, you know what? I got a leak in my sink. I need a couple plumbers. You got a few ideas? Yeah, it's amazing. That'd be awesome. But they don't know you do it. Like that alone will generate your referral business, and you got to do the work to do it, right? One from over here. One idea, one thing. What was it? Say it again. Popl. This one right here. Your favorite at the very end. Popl. Any more besides Popl? Big View. You like that? Big View. Good. All right, listen, I couldn't thank you guys enough. If you ever need information on me, there you go. I do have a coaching product. If you ever want to take a peek at it, Coach 52. I offer it as a value to you guys. It's 52 weeks of on-demand coaching. But I want to thank the group for bringing me in. Hopefully we do this again next year, and hopefully you get some great nuggets coming out of it. So I want to thank Gary and the team for having me up as last. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for paying your way.
Oh, yeah. I got all this money on the stage.